WHPC.
Every sound, every note, including the bass, on this track is played by a monkey.
American Hit Radio, Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Oops, we did it again.
Nominated as the best community college radio station in the nation by the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System.
The Voice of Nassau Community College.
This is the award-winning 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD Garden City.
Available anytime on your smart speaker.
Play WHPC.
And anywhere on iHeartRadio.
Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Jovia Financial Credit Union Business Banking, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, keeper of the brand marketing and digital agency, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
Ray and I bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business minds in the industry.
Yep. And we have somebody that, it's so funny because I think of her a lot now because I'm at so many events at the Crest Hollow Country Club. I literally was at an event there last night. I feel like the month of September, I should just leave a suit there because of all the networking that's done. I don't know. What about you, DV?
I think you live there, actually.
Yeah.
And when you stumble upon the Crest Hollow Country Club, you can't forget it, right?
Oh, it's beautiful.
I think they probably do the best job at booking out every single conference or planning event that's happening on Long Island.
Yep, and it's so funny because when I post on social media, I'll post a picture of myself. I'm working hard.
Again.
And I'll have the picture of the pool and the
uplighting, depending on the time of day.
Yep, and people are like, sure you are. So helping provide us with business empowerment today is our guest, Lisa Von Frank. She's Director of Sales and Marketing at the Crest Hollow Country Club on Jericho Turnpike in Woodbury. Now, Lisa has had 30 years of corporate marketing and planning experience, although you wouldn't know it if you looked at her, and joining the Crest Hollow team relatively recently to oversee all their sales and marketing activities. So, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ray and Donyshia, for having me.
We're so excited to have you here.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get started in what you do, and then maybe how that led you to where you are now?
Mine was definitely the school of hard knocks.
Okay.
My generation, I was told I could be a nurse or a teacher, and I went to school, actually started nursing, knew it wasn't for me. Even though I love taking care of people, I couldn't really handle the stress of sick people. So I decided to try marketing. And I started at EAB a very long time ago. I worked there for 12 years. I started as a receptionist. I moved up to the marketing department within a year. About a year and a half later, I went to the senior vice president. I said, we really should have our own events department. And he said, how quickly can you make that happen?
Oh, wow.
And it took me about a year. The CEO of EAB, I'll never forget, said Lisa brought us from having beer and peanuts to caviar and champagne.
Nice.
And my career took off. I became the assistant vice president of the events department. It was the most amazing job I've ever had. EAB was such a family, and I loved working there. We were acquired by Citibank. Mm-hmm. I went over to Citi for 2 years, and I ran their corporate events in commercial markets. And then I met my lovely, wonderful new husband, and he didn't want me commuting from St. James all the way to Long Island City, so I took a little bit of a break.
Okay.
Then I went over to Henry Schein for 6 years, and I worked in the global security department. Don't ask me how I got there, because I was the only female, and I was also the only one who didn't have a law enforcement background.
Oh, wow.
But then they found out I did events, so I started running the security events internationally. And I did that for 6 years, and it was a wonderful journey. And then out of nowhere, I got a call from a very dear friend of mine who worked for Jovia Bank.
Ah.
He was on the board of directors with the CEO of the Crest Hollow, and he must have mentioned he was looking for a mature person who knew marketing, sales, and events. And she said, "You need to meet Lisa Von Frank." And he called me the next day, and we interviewed, and he hired me on the spot. And I've been there, January 18th will be a year.
Oh, wow.
And I've absolutely, positively am in the perfect spot for my background.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely, you can tell you feel very comfortable. You're in your element.
Thank you.
That's pretty fantastic. And it's a great place to work for because so many people know of it. I mean, if you think of corporate events and if you think of weddings and if you think of social events, you know, that's probably the number one place that pops up in everybody's mind on Long Island, I would think.
I agree.
Yeah. Now, so tell us a little bit about the venue.
Well, the venue is extremely unique in the sense that when you come onto the property, we're on 24 acres in Woodbury, Long Island. You're not expecting to see what you see. Mm-hmm. Not only do we have 7 rooms where we can actually host events, we have a country club, a tennis club, we have a pool there, pickleball, paddleball. It's so unique because we can actually do anything that you want. We can create any event that you need because of the size of the venue and also because of the custom-made sections of the venue.
Yeah, there's different areas when you walk in, and even last night I was observing. So, you know, you have the upstairs, which has those big rooms off to the side. You have a little area where I guess that's more for like cocktail parties or maybe starting an event. And I know I've seen where the Crest Hollow is actually taken over by one event, the entire place, and you know, events
that
like
was Monday. We had Northwell Health. They rented the entire venue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we had about
that's
1,200 people there. Yeah, it was wonderful, actually.
And on an average week or day, how many events happen simultaneously or can happen simultaneously?
Simultaneously, we probably can do at least 4 or 5. The operations team is one of the most phenomenal teams I've ever worked with, and it's all about the timing. And they know how to do it.
They know how to turn it over.
They know how to do it, yes.
It's a lot like that. I'm trying to think of what the name of it is. It's not Bounce You. It's the place in Plainview that does the kids' parties. Mm-hmm. They have a whole system that they have you in and out. And when I asked them, well, how did you come up with that system? They said they previously ran hospitals. And they modeled it after that. And I imagine it's something kind of similar for Crest Hollow because you do it in a way that's very smooth. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I've been at events there and you know there's other events going on, but you don't see them intrude upon one another until you're like maybe in the lobby or in the bathroom.
Exactly. This past New Year's Eve, we had 1,200 people in the building, and I stayed for the entire event to actually see everything that was happening, and I was shocked at how few people were in the lobby. You would not know that there were 1,200 people there.
Wow.
There were 3 different events, but in total there were 1,200.
Wow. What are some of the challenges that you have? I mean, I'm sure that was probably one of them is arranging your scheduling and all that, but what are some of the challenges you face?
I think some of the challenges that I'm facing right now is learning how to reach out to all the diverse markets that we'd like to serve. We do a lot of Indian weddings right now. Last year we did 24. This year we've already booked 40, or maybe even 45 actually. And that is selling itself because we are able to feed 1,200 people for dinner if necessary. But my challenge really is reaching out. I'd like to start reaching out more to Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx, and because we are getting a lot of clients now from there, but I don't have a presence there. Mm-hmm. So that's a big challenge for me, and that's what I'm looking into right now. And how do I go about finding the way into that world?
Breaking in, yes. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill. And our guest today is Lisa Von Frank, Director of Sales and Marketing at Crest Hollow Country Club. Now, for the Crest Hollow, I mean, it as I mentioned before, a lot of people consider it a venue of choice. What is it, though, that really is the differentiator for the Crest Hollow?
I believe it's our staff. Mm-hmm. The staff that I oversee is amazing. I mean, I have people there 25 years. They just will not leave. I don't want them to, but because we do work as a team, we have to in order to pull off events the size that we do. I also believe that the Crest Hollow can create almost anything that someone can imagine. We've done christenings that would just blow you away. The party of because of the co-creating with the client and my staff, and when you co-create like that, you can imagine almost anything, and we can create it. And because we work so closely as a group, I think that's a big difference than some of the other venues.
Yeah, to have that collaboration and create the relationship while you're making an event happen. Now, I mean, and I want to give a shout out to a staff member by the name of Joe. Every time I'm at an event, he always comes over and says hello to me. I believe he's one of the people in the catering area. I'm not sure of his exact
Joe K. We call him Joe K.
All right, there you go.
He's the man.
So a shout out to Joe.
Now, it sounds like you're taking people from birth to retirement and on the social side. When you're interacting with your clients, what can they expect from your team, the planners that they're sitting down with?
Yeah.
Well, since I'm on board about a year now, I'm a very empathetic person, and yes, I love. Of course, I want sales. That's my job, to build sales. Mm-hmm. But I also like to bring in the real world and being kind to people and giving to people and helping them. And when we do that, we capture the audience that we really want to work with, and it flows easier. It flows easier when everybody's working on the same thought process. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to be on the same wavelength to collaborate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, what advice would you give people who are doing or planning a social event?
Social events. Plan early.
Mm-hmm.
At least a year in advance for prime season. Come in, know your budget, or at least have a sort of what you want to spend, because again, we can create an event for $20,000, or we can create an event for $100,000.
Right.
And we do both all the time, but we want to make sure that they're both as beautiful. So if you come in kind of knowing what you're looking for is very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I think so, and ultimately, when you look at planning corporate events or social events, it's about the service and the food.
Absolutely.
Most catering halls, they stick to the traditional American cuisine. And you mentioned that you are also catering to Indian weddings and bringing in a diverse group. What sets your menus apart and the taste of the food? I mean, look, Ray's always chomping at the bits here.
That's how I describe when I give people directions. I'm like, I tell them where by restaurant where they need to go.
How's your team like targeting your chefs and the tasting of the food? It's always so delicious.
We have an amazing chef. Chris Palmer is our head chef, and he is amazing. I believe we have 4 or 5 Indian catering chefs that we work with. So we actually bring. If Chris cannot create it, which he can also do Indian, but if he can't create it, we bring it in. We also have a kosher kitchen, a kosher chef, right on board. So, again, if you can think it, I will find a way, and the staff will find a way to bring it there.
Yeah, I was enjoying having my sweet potato at the potato bar.
That's one of my favorites.
I was walking around with the martini glass with the sweet potatoes and the marshmallows on top. Felt very classy. It was very cool. And when we met at the Long Island Tax Symposium, I remember the chef had come in and he was just checking things. And he came over, he tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Make sure we got the Wagyu burgers." And they had Wagyu slides. Am I using the right name? The special burgers. Yep. That was great stuff.
Oh, the new.
Now I'm getting hungry.
The new meatless burgers.
We should have asked for samples this morning.
I think so.
We could have had a nice breakfast.
Next time I'll bring something.
Now on what would you advise people now for corporate planning? And I know you work with events planners for corporate planning, so.
Corporate is definitely a different breed. I mean, the same advice. Plan early. Again, make sure you have the budget that you need to stick with, especially for corporate, because they have a fixed fee. I mean, coming from corporate background and doing events, I was told I could spend, $20,000 on an event. I wasn't going over the $20,000. So if you really know what you have the budget, you express that, and again, communicate to the banquet manager or the corporate sales manager what it is that you need to really have happen, and we can make that happen. But we cannot do that if people don't communicate what they need. And anything in life, I believe, when you can learn to communicate and you can tell people what you want, you receive.
Yeah, I agree.
Ask and you shall receive.
I'm sure from your background, it also helps you get in the heads of the people who are planning the events and ask them the questions they might not even think to ask, because you've been on both sides of the fence. You've been in the corporate planning, and now you're on the other side where you're, receiving that and helping them build what they envision. So that's got to be pretty cool.
And when we say corporate, that's a lot of associations. But you deal with a lot of nonprofits. I mean, I've attended events at Crest Hollow, Beauty Ball, the American Cancer Society, Goes Red Day, and a number of other events. And budgets for nonprofits are a little bit, smaller.
It's harder, yeah.
It is definitely tougher because there are certain prices that we need to pay our staff.
Absolutely.
But with the fundraisers, or they are tax exempt, so that's a help. The CEO, who is the most giving person I've ever met, Richard Monty, he is always working with the not-for-profits, and he definitely gives them a break on the facility fee, or we try to help with the getting donations because of my background and the people I know. If it's something near and dear to my heart, like I have one coming up now for the Puerto Rican rescue for the rescue dogs.
Oh, okay.
That's in January. I'm going to be spearheading a lot of it because it's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I have a lot of people on my staff like that, so they go above and beyond to see if they can get raffle prizes for them, or maybe have the centerpieces donated, or we do work very closely with the not-for-profits. The Monty Foundation, they have a Don Monty Foundation, is something that the Monty family started many, many years ago when they lost their brother, a very young boy, to cancer, and that is a huge ball we do every year, and I think they've raised so far about $500,000 towards the research of this particular type of cancer. It's one of the cancers that they still cannot pinpoint how to find a cure. So there's a lot of really wonderful people there.
Yeah, it helps build the corporate culture, which is a significant reason, I think, for the Crest Hollow's continuing success is that, when you have that culture, people don't want to leave. You don't have the same attrition,
Yeah, and I think also, when you talk about fundraisers and nonprofits, it's not always the sit-down dinner. You mentioned dream it, you build it. Sometimes it's Gatsby. Sometimes, it's different elements that your team brings to life. So that although we're there quite often, I think it's a different experience every time you walk through the front door.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to hear.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is Lisa Von Frank, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Crest Hollow Country Club.
Now, how do you keep yourself, obviously you're very dynamic in the position based on all the different organizations you're working with, the businesses, and people planning their social events. How do you keep motivated doing all that?
Well, that actually comes a little bit more gracefully now with my age because I figured out a lot of things, and that is staying around very positive people.
Okay.
Yep. I tell my staff the same. I said, you might have a problem, but I want to hear your solution before. I don't want you coming in with a problem. I want you to come in and actually say to me, this may not be working. I have a suggestion. That took years to get there. I've also have an amazing family and a higher power I believe in, and keeps me very grounded. I do a lot of yoga. I think it helps with the stress level. It is sometimes my job can be very stressful, which I didn't think so because I'm not physically doing the events like I used to have to do everything. Now I'm overseeing it, but because it's such a large facility, that does come with a little stress. But mainly is staying around very positive people.
Gotcha.
I think with 28 acres, you stay fit.
I try.
That's true. Just going from one event to the next, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
And then touring and all that. Now, what are the accomplishments that you're most proud of? And that can certainly be within your role, or what might have helped you attain your role, or however you see it.
My accomplishments I look at it in two ways. Mm-hmm. My personal life, I have one child who is a performing artist now, and I've allowed her and helped her financially to follow her dreams. And she truly believes that she can do that now, I think, because, I've been a decent role model for her. I was also a single mom for 11 years, so it was not an easy journey, but one that I would never trade for anything because it all worked out beautifully. My husband is my rock. He supports me. He helps me in every way he can, especially now with my new position. He actually works from home, so it's kind of a role reversal, which is really helpful for me because I need to be in the office a lot more than I expected.
Gotcha.
And then professionally, I still go back to, EAB when, I don't know where I got the chutzpah, as they say, to actually walk up to a senior vice president and say, I have an idea. And, I put it on paper before I went in and I think it was really because I was a single mom and I needed to find a way to make more money and to grow and, help my career. And once I did that, it broke through that glass or that wall of fear. My life just changed tremendously. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for the people that I worked with at EAB who believed in me. And like I said, I went from starting as a secretary to being an assistant vice president of an entire department within 5 years. So, I have a lot of gratitude. And I think that accomplishment alone is learning gratitude. Like every day I get up and I'm grateful for something. I was grateful that I was asked to be on the show. This is a first for me, so I thank you.
And we're certainly grateful to have you. And it's interesting. I think it does speak to the EAB stories that I always hear. Being in work, doing the financial work with businesses. It's left such a legacy, and I do attribute that to leadership. And I think that's very important for businesses to know, is that the ability to empower your employees to feel comfortable enough that they can have the chutzpah to say something. All that does is it betters the employee, it reduces the attrition, it helps the organization, and it creates a legacy. It sounds like you gravitate towards organizations that work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because certainly the Montes and Crest Hollow, it sounds to me like it is that type of atmosphere.
It is.
Yeah.
So what type of pipeline does Crest Hollow develop for the next Lisa Von Frank or the next upcoming, top chef that you have on board?
Well, I'm actually right now trying to put thoughts to paper, and sometimes that's the hardest thing to do when you're so busy.
Yeah.
But I am really changing the way the Crest Hollow, or I should say I'm attempting to change the way the Crest Hollow has worked in the past, in the sense of being much more proactive with getting the salespeople out there. They come. The Crest Hollow is so well known, people come to us. So the salespeople are waiting for them to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not someone to sit around and wait for anything. If I want something, I'm going to go out and get it. So I'm actually starting to looking into possibly hiring more people to do business development. It's something I should be doing, but with my schedule right now, I have probably 15% of my time goes to that, and that's really what I should be doing. But I'm finding, because I'm only there a year, and I replaced someone who was there 32 years or maybe even longer. So it's a whole new world for me. So I'm working on really just picking the brains of the people that are there as well. And that's one of the things I bring up in our meetings, that, you've been here a very long time. You need to share with me so I can help you make this even a better place, and grow the sales, and keep the place running.
Now,
we have a lot of we have over 400 employees there.
Wow.
You would not believe that. But, there's some of them are seasonal. Some of them, obviously, wait staff and bartenders are not in all the time. But we do have over 400 people employed at the Crest Hollow Country Club. And we'd like to make sure that we can keep them all.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's a machine. It's definitely a machine.
Oh, yeah. But I think that's good thinking, because you don't want to wait on your laurels, because it's at that point that, either competition will find a way, or, some dynamic changes, and then you're going to have to pivot, and why not plan in advance?
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
And I pick a lot of young people's brains with networking, because the way we used to network was all referrals, and now it's social media. It's completely different. So that was the first thing I did. I held a networking party at the Crest Hollow. Got all the young minds to come in and sit with me and talk to me, and I've made some amazing connections, and that's the beauty of the job and life, is finding new ways to improve it.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to capture the mindset of those millennials and Gen Zs. Otherwise, they'll think country club and think, oh, but it's not. It's new and refreshing, especially with you at the helm.
Thank you.
Yes. We want to thank you for being with us. Before we go, I'd like to get your contact information and website and all that.
Sure. Our website at the Crest Hollow is www.cresthollow.com, and the direct line is 516-692-8000.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you for being with us today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
To achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. Leonard Bernstein.
I want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-host and producers. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit nccradio.org for more information. Available on iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week.
Views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties, and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student, Corey Kaufman. And today we're shining the spotlight on a local singer and owner of a music store here on Long Island.
Ooh, maybe I could get a couple of free guitar lessons out of this?
You might get lucky, Corey, because joining us today is Sarah Kahn, singer, songwriter, and owner of SK's Music Lessons in Syosset. Sarah, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
How did you get into music? How did this all start?
So interestingly enough, I think it was mostly my father.
Okay.
So when I was growing up, he introduced the music to me. I think he found out that there were other girls who were taking piano lessons on our block. So he wanted me to as well. And it was weird because I had never asked to study music. And I was open to it and it clicked. And just because of being open-minded and trying as a kid, I mean, sometimes you have your son or daughter try something and it doesn't work. But it just kind of like naturally fell into place and then it just built upon itself. So, yeah.
Now, I told you I'm not a music person. How does someone go into songwriting? Did you jump into this? Was it part of it? Or just one day you heard this song and put some words to it? Or how does that work?
Well, I feel like I remember, like in high school, I would always, do poetry, like whether it was in classes or I would write a lot in my journal. But, at that time, I feel like I didn't really know how to turn that into songwriting, or I just didn't feel confident enough. And then it wasn't until like after I graduated college that I started meeting a lot of different musicians. And after hearing them play, and I said to myself, I've been studying music. I think I could do this too. And that's how that process started, just by committing, coming to the instrument. So when I say that, meaning coming to the piano, just playing around. I think it definitely helps to listen to all different styles of music. It's like if you want to build a good vocabulary, read a lot. If you want to be a better songwriter, just listen to all different styles of music. And yeah.
I'm thinking when you heard the other people playing that, you probably said, I can do better than that.
I'm not going to lie. A little bit of it.
Okay.
I mean,
and well, you have your own place, SK's. So, right?
Yeah. That was all interesting because ideally what I really wanted to do, I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to like do the whole pop star thing. Like I've always wanted to do that, but somewhere in between all of that, it was actually my mom. She had suggested, she's like, why don't you teach on the side? This is like back in 2004. And so I did it, not really thinking of it much. And then someone had said to me, well, if you want to work in a school, you have to get certified. So, by the way, I went to NYU for undergrad, and then I went back for my master's in music education, thought I wanted to work in the public school, did it for like a minute, hated it. It was like the worst experience ever for me. And then I decided I had to figure out like what I wanted to do, and I was still doing a few lessons with a few people on the side. And then I had said to myself, wouldn't it be great if I got a chance to start my own programs? So for like a good part of, I want to say 20, is it okay for me to give dates?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I'm really good with dates and numbers
fine.
and
Sure.
stuff. So like a good part of 2014 and 2015, that's all I did. A lot of research, learning from other schools and lesson companies. So we're not a physical location. We're a lesson company, which means we're online and we provide in-home lessons.
Oh,
so
nice. That's nice for
yeah.
people.
So
Okay.
there's a lot of those companies out there all around the country. So just reaching and learning about
But
it.
yours is the best. Yes, it is. We're saying yours is the best. SK Music.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, and I feel very fortunate to have worked for a number of different music schools out in Long Island. That was kind of a big inspiration because, to be honest, I wasn't very happy working in a lot of these schools. I'm not going to name any of them or anything like that. But because I had the opportunity to be there, I learned like what not to do and how I wanted to do a different type of business model. And I think that's kind of the reason why we've grown the way we've grown. I make it very simple, very reasonable. It's very simple to sign up with us. There's not a lot of red tape or hidden fees or
Sounds
very
good.
straightforward. Just
Right.
wanted to create something that was honest, very honest.
Like the
that's
Honest
what I'm
Ice
trying
Tea
to
Company.
use. Yeah.
Okay. The Honest Music Company. I like that.
So, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh, well, it's a good question. I mean, right off the bat, I was a huge Coldplay fan.
Really?
But not so much anymore.
Bittersweet Symphony, all that?
Yeah. Well, no, that song is by a band called The Verve.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
I mixed them up.
Yeah. No, but Coldplay was huge. I like them. I think I was just so into them that I've calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so like, but definitely a lot of Britpop growing up, like Oasis, Blur.
Mm-hmm.
I love electronic music, definitely classical music because I'm classically trained on the violin and the piano. But bands like Depeche Mode and The Cure. I like your
She
t-shirt.
complimented my T-shirt when I walked into the studio.
They're a great band.
See, you dressed perfectly. for the show.
Madonna, 80s music. I'm definitely forgetting bands. I feel like every day I'm like, oh yeah, them too, and oh yeah, them too. But I've been fortunate. I've seen some really amazing artists and groups in my lifetime, like bands that either have broken up or sadly have passed and stuff like that.
Now, Sarah, what instruments do you play?
So I am a singer, obviously, piano and the violin.
Okay, a little bit of everything in there.
Multi-instrumentalist.
You want to, Corey?
So tell us a little bit about your writing process.
Okay, specifically with this record or just in general?
Just in general,
Just in
yeah.
general.
You're telling us you're not the best with lyrics?
No, I'm terrible. So, what has always come to me first, at least when I started doing all of this, which, by the way, I want to say I started like in the mid-2000s. So I, at that time, I actually would commit an X amount of time every day to being on the piano because I thought maybe that was going to be helpful. One other thing I forgot to mention, Radiohead. Huge
Oh,
influence.
there you go.
Yeah. So I remember at the time I was listening to Kid A a lot.
That's a great album.
Yeah. Oh, so good still. The music, that first EP that I recorded definitely was like heavily influenced by that. So I did that by myself, and then I met this producer in the city And we recorded that, and nothing really came of it. And I was very disappointed because I spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and this is when I decided to go back to grad school. But then in terms of songwriting, I didn't do anything for a while. I guess I kind of got like upset and a little jaded about it. And then in 2015, I met this guitar player, and I guess I was just inspired to start that process again. I kind of wanted to impress him as well. I was trying to get his attention a little bit, so that motivated me. And then I started getting ideas in my head, like actually the song that we're you're going to be playing called Home. The melody I had for some time, but then I finished writing it while I was trying to find a parking spot at this mall not too far from here called Roosevelt Field. And it was on a weekend. So just by doing that, using my time wisely, having voice memo, you can record the melody, la, la, la,
Isn't that a great story? All aspiring writers who want to produce music should go drive around Roosevelt Field for a few hours and see what happens. They'll probably
you
see
never
you.
know,
and,
right? Yeah.
That's probably why there's traffic jams. All these songwriters driving around saying, I just want to be like Sarah. I want to be like
absolutely.
Sarah.
So you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Corey Kaufman, along with Bill Horan. And today we're talking with the up-and-coming music artist and owner of SK Music Lessons in Syosset, Sarah Kahn.
Sarah, starting your own business, now that's interesting for anybody, but musical people, we always see them as creative. It's like the scientific people who can put two things together, but their socks don't match. So did you find that especially hard, or did you have a partner who did the business end and you did the teaching end?
Interestingly enough, no. I've always felt comfortable. And it's funny, somebody had told me this like 10 years ago. They were like, oh, you would be really good at managing people or putting artists together and just kind of taking the lead. I've always been really good, even in college. Like, I've always felt like I'm good at getting people together to get something done. And I would do that, like even like with my papers and stuff, I would bring in the right people to like help me write and stuff like that. So no, it felt very natural to me. And I was also just really inspired because I feel like, when you're doing anything creative and you've been blessed with those kind of opportunities, I almost feel it's like a responsibility to give back. There's so many young people out there that, want to take lessons and they want to do stuff, but maybe they just need somebody to just kind of push them a little bit. And if they have the right teacher, that can make all the difference. I know
any business can be hard for a business person.
Yeah.
And if you're more the creative type, this can be like, oh, I don't want to do the accounting, I don't want to do the marketing, I just want to teach.
It's actually funny. I know this might sound really boring, but I actually really enjoy the administrative side.
Okay.
I really do. And I know it might sound a little dorky because I've got some people helping me. I have a wonderful accountant, wonderful bookkeeper, all this kind of stuff. But like, I actually like doing it because it's mine. So at the end of the day, I'm the one that's making sure that everything is organized. Like, I guess, like when it's yours, you take more pride into it. So for me, nothing is boring. If anything, I don't teach as much anymore because I've been doing it for so long. I really just want to be behind the scenes. And a lot of my teachers are younger. So I just want to be there to help them and support them and give them the opportunities that I didn't really find that I got when I was working for a lot of different music schools. Like, for them to feel appreciated, that makes me really happy.
And it's nice you have the talent to do these other things.
Right.
It's just a little more unusual. You would think the musician would say, I don't want to do any of that.
That's very
I just
true.
want to play and create.
Yeah.
And you're blessed with many talents. So
thank you.
That's good.
I appreciate that.
So the EP is called Dust It Off.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the story. Why is it called that?
A lot of the songs are very inspirational. One of them has like an anthem feel. It's really just about believing in yourself, never letting anybody get you down. So dust it off. It's like if something goes wrong or, you fall or fail, just dust it off and I guess move on. Easier said than done, but I thought it had a nice ring to it. Yes, one of the songs on the EP is called Dust It Off, just let it go. And, tomorrow's a new day type of feel. I know that might sound very, I don't know, I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, maybe it's not really original, but everybody has their own spin on what that means to them. So I think at the time, I just wanted to create positive music and try to, that kind of feel and that kind of tone.
Now,
so I think that comes across.
Talking about that before the show, how long does it take to create something like that? Because I think the common perception is that we think of a songwriter and they just get music in their head and they knock it out and it becomes a great hit. And I really have no idea whether it's a matter of years, minutes, hours, days, months, whatever. Could you take us through the process and how many changes you might go through? Is it like an author who rewrites the book 8 times?
Yeah, I guess it really just depends. I know for me, so the original goal was to just record the song that you guys are going to be playing, so we'll call Home. And I met this producer through this guitar player that I was working with, and I went in. It went very well, and then I said, you know what? Why don't I try this again? Why don't I try writing an EP again? So we went in the next day, and I finished the entire thing. No, I'm just kidding. No, it took about 8 or 9 months because it was a far commute for me. We did it out in Jersey, this very small
And you drove
town.
back to Roosevelt Field and rolled around in circles every day? Is that
Right, yeah, exactly, to get more songs.
Yeah, sure.
No, but it took most of 2018, and honestly, almost every weekend was spent going there. Like, I literally spent like 4 hours commuting, but I felt very strong about the project, and
Actually,
yeah.
that's a very good sign. You know, when someone, Corey, cares that much to do that, you hear sports people who say, I went 2 hours to train with so-and-so or work out with this pitcher or the batter or whatever the field is, a passer in football or learning to block properly. And right away, that tells you something about them. They have the desire, they have the drive, they have the focus. And usually if you have that much, you kind of put yourself in that elite category of people who are going to get ahead and do a great job.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some fun now because usually we just take a break, but we will stop and tell our audience that you're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Bill Horan, and I'm here with Nassau Community College student Corey Kaufman. And today we're taking the opportunity to talk to up-and-coming music artist and owner of SK Music Lessons in Syosset, Miss Sarah Kahn. And Sarah, today we're going to hear one of your songs. It's called Home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit how that came into being before we play it.
Yeah, so I had this musical idea for some time, and I didn't know what to do with it. And then a couple of years ago, I met this guitarist, and I was inspired to finish because I kind of liked him, and I wanted to impress him. And so I put it together, and I was telling the story. I was trying to finish it, and I was trying to find a parking spot in a mall, and I was just inspired to finish it, and the words kind of came out, which was interesting because I'm not good at the words, but it flowed. Then I brought it back to this other guitar player. He actually came up with the lyrics for, I guess you would call it the chorus. And that's how it kind of came about. So that then motivated me to record the rest of the songs. But what I really like about this track is, like, I always, excuse me, I've always loved electronic music. I've loved dance music. So I wanted to create, an electro pop type of song. So this was exciting for me because this is the only song of the EP that has that feel, and I had never done that before, so that was super fun.
I'm sure our audience will love it because instead of a commercial today, we're going to hear your song, and it's called Home, correct?
Fantastic.
Okay, Michael, take it away.
You wanted something, but something got in the way. Complain there's nothing, 'cause nothing is what you gave. And now we're fighting, 'cause you never see the things my way. And now you're hiding. Stand back, honey, honey, I remember this game. My heart was a beacon of love lighting up the dark. You're trying to sneak back in, rewind back to the start. And now we're fighting, 'cause you never see the things my way. And now you're hiding. Stand back, honey, honey, I invented this game. Now you want it all back, and you can't let go. But I locked the door to that place called home. So close your eyes and make a wish tonight, 'cause it's not right with you anymore. So I locked the door to that place called home.
That was wonderful. To our audience, I want you to know that was Sarah Kahn. That Sarah is our guest today, and her song "Home." And we want you to know you're listening to Sarah sing on My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Sarah is a Long Islander, and she's the owner of SK's Music Lessons in Syosset, and that's spelled E-S-K-A-Y-S. It sounds like the initials S-K, but it's not. I was bopping to that song, and I'm not even a music-type person. Now you're going to get everybody driving around Roosevelt Field all day writing songs. So what would you say your genre is that you write about?
What do you mean? Like,
is it fast-paced songs? Is it romantic, slow?
I think it's a combination of both. This was a little bit of a challenge because I don't usually do stuff like this. I feel like because of my influences, definitely more ballads and stuff like that. But I think as a songwriter, you should always challenge yourself, listen to new types of things. But yeah, I definitely feel like, especially on the piano, it just comes more natural to me to do just slower type of stuff.
No, I never heard that song before.
I'm glad you liked it.
I think I'm going to be humming it. I think it's going to be in my mind. No, really, it's very pleasant. I was going to say nice things about it anyway.
Yeah.
But now, no, but it really, it's just one that catches you. And it really is. I guess it must be a really elaborate process that all goes through that to make it sound so good. But your voice and the music connecting together.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
That was very nice. So.
Yeah.
Is that you doing all the instrumentation on the track?
No. So the producer I worked with, his name is Rob Freeman. He literally was wearing like 15 hats. Very impressive. Like, he did the arrangement, he produced it, he mixed it. On the EP, he plays a ton of the instruments, all the drums, most of the acoustic and electric guitars. He added in all the synth sounds. Like, this was all him. Like, I sang it to him a cappella. That's how I normally bring it in, like I guess you call it like a skeleton framework. And I gave him some reference tracks, and I'm like, I want it to be in this direction, this type of genre. And then he came up with these ideas, and I liked it, and that's kind of like how this came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there an artist that you would want to like collaborate with?
Oh, Chris Martin.
Really?
Yeah. Him or from Coldplay, I guess. Although maybe Noel Gallagher.
Interesting.
Is the guitarist from Oasis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's solo now, but maybe they'll come back together. I don't know.
Well, you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Corey Kaufman, along with Bill Horan. And today, we're talking with up-and-coming music artist and owner of SK Music Lessons in Syosset, Sarah Kahn.
Sarah, let's go back to talking about your school. And again, for our audience, I'd like to know, while we say SK, it's not just the initials, it's E-S-K-A-Y, apostrophe S, Music Lessons. Now, when did that open?
So we've been open for about 3.5 years. And I think I mentioned, so SKs is basically my initials spelled into a word. I was originally gonna call it Sarah's Music Lessons, but you'd be surprised how many
hundreds,
thousands.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I know there's one in California for sure.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let's come up with something that's different. And I wasn't even trying to be catchy. I wanted it to have some meaning.
And you go right to the home for the lessons. So
we all come to you. Yeah.
And like, what type of numbers can we ask you? What we're talking about? Are there, billions, hundreds, thousands?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
No, we currently have over 200 students.
That's a lot. And
that's
you're
impressive.
Here on Long Island. Yeah, that's a lot.
And just been in the hiring process. We have a lot of our teachers are either affiliated with NYU or the Aaron Copland School of Music, which is part of Queens College. I have a teacher right now. She's a teacher at the Locust Valley School District. But yeah, it's been really great. I mean, we have teachers that have a few students. We have teachers that have like 30 students. I myself also teach as well, but because we've grown so much, I've kind of stepped away from it, and I'm just I really enjoy running the school. I really enjoy being there to not only support our teachers, but to be there for the families we work with and the students. So for me, I wanted to create something that was very personable, and anyone that knows me, that works with me, knows that if they're trying to get in contact with me, whether it's email, text, or phone, that I will respond in a, I guess, a responsible way.
And I'm sure once they hear that song, And
Yeah.
that's kind of your best ad. All you have to do is say, play
I hope
this
they
CD
do.
and
Who
see
knows who's listening out there? Like,
well, no, but I mean, even if a student comes up
Yeah.
and says, why should I go with you? Listen
I've
to the
shared
song
it.
and see if
I've
you want
shared
to.
it with a number of students. Not everyone. I guess it just
Really
depends
good.
on what
Yeah.
they want to do. Like a lot of my vocal singers, I'll share it with them. Just, I think it's important to do that because then it opens up the door for them so they know the possibilities. Like right now, maybe they're just taking lessons for a hobby or they're doing it because it's one of 50 other million things you're doing, but you never know. Like they'll hear it and be like, maybe I could do that too, or maybe it's something. I always encourage my vocal and piano students, if you'd like to go into songwriting, if you want to learn to be able to sing and play at the same time, I don't think it's that hard. Maybe a lot of people do. It seems like a lot of multitasking, but I'm all for it. If you're down to do it, I say go for it. I think anybody can hone that.
And just another question, because I'm sure some of our listeners may be asking this. What are the ages that you typically work with?
So majority of our school are between the ages of 4 and 15. But
As
we
young
do
as
have
4, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it depends. I would say for age 4, really piano and violin, not voice, because their voices are still developing, but mostly elementary age. And we do have a number of adults, people that either never got the chance or did.
That's
kind of
cool.
Yeah, it really is. It's rewarding within itself, just working with like younger adults or even, people
Years
in their 40s,
ago, and
50s, 60s.
Corey doesn't know the story, but years ago we had a child piano prodigy.
Oh.
And he
Very
came
cool.
on here. He was a very nice little boy, and he's about 45 pounds. So he wasn't the athletic type, but he was excellent at what he did with the piano. And I asked him, I said, "What do you like about playing the piano most?" And he said, "Now he had to be about. You said you started at 4, so I guess he was in about the 5th grade." And he said, "It helps you meet girls, and they all think you're really cool." And
Yeah.
but because he really liked it. But to come out with that answer, it was just so funny the way he dropped it in because you didn't
I love
expect that from him.
Because
right?
it doesn't happen for girls. Like you could be on. It's not the same. It just isn't. Like I used to think that too. Like I'll be performing. I'm sure a lot of guys will come up to you. They really don't. It's the other way.
It's the other way, but
It's
that's
so
his
strange.
thing.
Yeah.
That was his mark in the world, which I give him a lot of credit. He, not only was he very good,
There you
but
go.
people really liked him, and he had performed at the highest levels, and he appreciated it, but I guess other kids knew it and admired him for it, which was nice too, because we all have our thing, whether it's sports or the chess team or the fencing team or speech and debate or whatever. So
Well, that's why you started doing radio, right, Bill?
that's right. I needed my thing. So I find after failing at everything else, I finally found it.
Yep.
So.
So what kind of services does your music school provide? Is it it's like piano and it's guitar, it's voice?
So
How many
right
instruments?
now, we have a variety of instruments, but our most popular are piano, voice, and violin. We do woodwinds. We're bringing back the guitar program. Had a bit of put a pause on it for a bit, and what I want to do is expand, bring in the brass instruments, drums, stuff like that. But majority of people want to do vocal lessons, piano and violin, and that's what I teach. I do all 3. I guess I equally like all 3. But yeah, only private lessons. Not people always ask about the group thing. Honestly, I think if you're learning an instrument, it's got to be one-on-one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, people have different opinions on that, but
Now, Sarah, if somebody after hearing this says, how do we get in touch or where are you located?
Yeah.
Tell us.
So the easiest way would be to go on the Facebook page. Can I say my Facebook page?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, sure.
So it's facebook.com/SK's Music Lessons, spelled ESKAYS, Music Lessons, plural. That would be the best way. A lot of photos, a lot of videos. We have a ton of reviews. So thankful for all the families that we work with who take their time to put their reviews. You can go on the website, which is just sk'smusiclessons.com, but the Facebook page is really the place to go. That's where it's easier to interact.
And
clients
if there's a field trip, is it around the parking lots around Roosevelt Field?
Maybe Walt Whitman Mall this time.
And imagine that someday they go, this is where Sarah Khan wrote her first song, right here, driving around in circles.
Right. And particularly the parking lot in front of Nordstrom.
In front of Nordstrom. Yeah. Remember that. That's
I know exactly.
And maybe now you'll be sponsored. You'll be always wearing a Nordstrom T-shirt. You'll get a sponsor there. Sarah, we want to thank you for being with us today and let our audience know. Our guest has been Sarah Khan, Kahn. She's the owner of